There seems to be interest in all grain mashes in the group right now, which is great. Here is a how-to for all grain corn liquor for beginners. By Scott Hookey. Nowadays you can use high-temp enzymes that dramatically increase your brewhouse efficiency and make it so new distillers can achieve gravities in the 1.07 to 1.08 range with a grain bill that is between 2.5 pounds per gallon to 3 pounds per gallon grains. You can fully convert corn with high-temp enzymes, but the finished product will be grassy, raw, and unrefined. For this recipe, I highly recommend an 80-20 split. 80% corn. Don't waste your time with a cheap corn. 20% red wheat malt or 20% barley malt, 2-row or 6-row. Or can even do 75% corn, 15 6-row or red wheat malt, 10% rye malt if you desire. For the high-temp enzymes, you can use Sebstar HTL, high-temp alpha amylase, and Sebamyl-GL, high-temp glucoamylase, or Firm Solutions AA400, high-temp alpha, and GA150, high-temp glucoamylase. Firm Solutions dosage might be different than Sebstar, but has always worked for me with the same dosage. The Firm Solutions is typically quite a bit cheaper, though. If you go with Firm Solutions, read their instructions. I cook my grains, not seep them, but I have talked to many people that have done the seep method with enzymes with success. First, bring your water to a boil. Remember 2.5 to 3 pounds grains per gallon water. Remember, you always should make about 1/4 more than you will need to fill your still. Grains soak up water. If you're going with 3 pounds per gallon and you're efficient, you will likely get to water your mash down a little to get your 1.08 starting gravity. I add my cracked corn at 210 degrees. The grain is going to drop the temp down to around or just above 190 degrees. Does for me anyway. You want to add a little alpha amylase or even a few handfuls of malt if you're not using enzymes. This will not convert any of the starches to sugar, but it will keep the corn from forming a starch brick and make it much easier to stir. Grains that are easier to stir are less likely to scorch. On scorching, if you're using an aluminum pot, make sure to shut the heat down a few minutes before adding your grains so the temperature of the bottom of the pot stabilizes to the water. This way you don't scorch the grains. The trick is to stay ahead of your temps so you're not having to add a bunch of heat, increasing the chances of scorching. Let your cracked corn, with a few drops of amylase, drop to between 185 and 190 degrees and stir in your Sebstar HTL or AA400. The dosage is 0.4 milliliters per pound of grains added at this point. Keep the heat on low and stir holding in the 180s until the corn looks like gel. You're looking at an hour to 90 minutes. It is always wise to add another 0.2 ml per pound grain on the drop to 160 degrees. Once you are in the 160s, you can do an iodine test. You can do an iodine test at any time. Take a shot glass full of mash liquid and a few drops of iodine and stir it around. If the mash turns back to its original color, you've converted the starch in your corn to fermentable sugar. Great job! Add your barley malt or wheat malt AMD, hold above 155 for an hour. Do an iodine test again if you want. If it fails, hold it at 155 for another 30 minutes or so. Let the temp drop to 148 degrees and stir in your glucoamylase, Sebamyl or AA150. 0.4 ml per lbs added at this point. If you are going to stir in rye malt, now is the time. If you do add rye malt, hold it in the 140s for 45 minutes or so. Let the temp drop to 85 degrees Fahrenheit and pitch your yeast. It is important to keep your fermentation temps below 90 degrees the first few days. Fermentation temps above the recommended temps for that yeast causes off flavors. It also eats up the nutrients before the mash can finish, which is the most likely cause for stalled mashes. It also causes pH to plummet. You want the pH to drop, just not faster than the yeast can make alcohol. On pH for mashing in. A favorable mash conversion temp for the alpha amylase is around 6.0. For the glucoamylase, you're looking at 5.2. Gluco likes a slightly more acidic pH. If you are good with adjusting pH, food for thought. If not, I'd skip it. Hope this helps. By Scott Hookey. Cheers. Enjoy Moonshine Life Recipes.